With EVO 2019 being over and Cross Tab Battle getting its 2.0 update, a lot of people are anxiously waiting to see what the new balance patches and everything that are going to be coming with the update into November 21st is going to bring. Now, what most people are actually waiting for is the actual character announcements. Now, as you know, we are getting 9 DLC characters in this season pass, but we only know of 4, being Yumi from Senran Kagura, Akatsuki representing his game Akatsuki Blitz Camp with his boy, his tank, Blitz Tank, and best Ruby girl herself, Neo. Pyrrha fans, I am not sorry. But like I said, that is only 4 and there are still 5 characters remaining. A lot of people have made a lot of different assumptions, a lot of different speculations of who their 5 people are. And that's basically what this video today is. I'm going to be going over my speculation of who I feel like the 5 characters are. Now, I have 2 potential lists of how I feel like the 5 characters are going to go, based on popularity of the characters as well as based on things the Arc system has done in the past regarding the characters. So I feel like, you know, the points, like, they kind of have a specific basis of what to expect in terms of like the characters. But with all that being said, as you all know, I am your boy CodedProphecy. If you guys are excited to get into this whole list, make sure to hit the like button down below, because you know, as it helps me know that you guys are enjoying the content, as well as hit the sub button down below for the boy, because if you haven't noticed, we are about 4 to 5 subs away from 300. So if you would help the boy out so kindly, hit that button, and you know, you already know the vibes. So with all that being said, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so first and foremost, we're going to be going over the first route, which this route is going to be going over the, I guess, quote-unquote leak, I guess you could say, where we basically found out that there's going to be at least 2 Blazblue characters coming into the future pack. And we know this because if you go to EB10, which is basically a Japanese online store, just, you know, distributing games and stuff, they have Blazblue Cross Tag Battle limited edition, which comes with a box set of pins. Now with the pins, it has every Blazblue character that is currently in the game, and the final 2 pins that are in the box set are marked as secret. Now, from our assumption, we can assume that these 2 characters obviously are going to be part of the Blazblue roster. I don't know if the other faces are going to be getting the same thing, but for now we just know that the 2 of them are most likely going to be Blazblue. So with this, you basically know 2 Blazblue characters are going to be coming to the pack, and me personally, based on like popularity, because like I said, the list that I compiled are based off of the popularity as well as the vocal majority that I've heard the most in terms of like since Blazblue Cross Tag Battle has been, you know, in the works all the way up until now. My list is compiled of the popularity of each character as well as who I've heard the most that people have really wanted into the game. So to start the list off, for the most part, my 2 picks for Blazblue are gonna be Terra Me and Hibiki. Now, if you look at most of Blazblue's popularity polls, you can tell like most of the popular characters that are on those lists are already in Central Fiction. So like, not in Central Fiction, are in Cross Tag Battle. So once you remove most of those characters off of the list, you're left with a few, and the top 2 on that list is Hibiki and Terra Me. Now, Terra Me is an extremely popular character. I know a lot of people wanted him in the game for the longest time. Hibiki to me is like, Hibiki obviously is one of my favorite characters in Blazblue, but he's one of those characters where I feel like it can be switched out a lot, because you can absolutely make an argument for why you feel like me personally, I feel like Kokonoe could also, you know, make this spot over Hibiki just because she's more relevant in the story. But I feel like in terms of Cross Tab Battle, the way they're doing the roster is more so based off of popularity rather than story relevance. So I feel like Hibiki would be the more like obvious choice, as well as the fact that Hibiki's playstyle is a lot easier to implement into Cross Tab Battle rather than Kokonoe's is. So Hibiki and Terra Me both are actually like really easy to implement into Cross Tab Battle, which I feel like kind of validates more why I feel like the 2 of them out of everybody else that's left on Central Fiction's roster like make it into the game. Now, a lot of people could also say Bang could make it in, because Bang is also he's a very popular character, and he's a very like important to the Blazblue storyline, because he was one of the first characters to be in the game. He's like one of the first generation characters, you know what I mean? So he's also like up there in terms of like contention for making it into the game. But I just feel like Hibiki and Terra Me are the two that like most people would expect. You know what I'm saying? Terra Me, on the other hand, I feel like Terra Me is kind of like a shoo-in character. Like, he's kind of needs to be there. Like, he doesn't need to be, but it'd be weird if he wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's kind of like his own person. He's kind of his own entity. Like, I know Hazama is there, but him and Hazama are like two completely different people. The next person I feel like is gonna make it in. Now, I feel like the two rows, two spots underneath, I guess you could say underneath Yumi, would be split in between Persona 4 and Under Night. And I feel that way because it will be the most balanced way to do things. You know, just give Blazblue 2 characters and then give Persona and Under Night 2, and then round off with whoever else. You know what I'm saying? Just because like it would be weird to give like I said, like Persona, Under Night, and Blazblue obviously are the three fates that get the most love in cross tag battle. We can already tell that, especially looking at how Ruby's roster is. You know what I'm saying? So it'd make a lot of sense to assume that those two fates would be getting another character in this pack as well. Now, in terms of Persona 4, I feel like the next character that's gonna be showing up, it's a cross toss up between two. Now, in terms of popularity, that character is Elizabeth. Now, I've heard a lot of people over the past couple months talk about Elizabeth, them wanting Elizabeth in the game, and the fact that she's one of the more popular characters inside of Persona 4 arena. It'd make a lot of sense if they would put her in. But another character that I feel like also has a high chance of getting in is Adachi. Just for the simple fact that Persona 4 right now, like their roster doesn't really have a villain character, and Adachi, literally from the time Blazblue Cross Tag Battle was announced, I've heard nothing but people ask for this man Adachi to make it into the roster. I've been hearing that man's name for so long that I'm surprised he hasn't made it in yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of the villain characters that a lot of people seem to really want in, and I feel like it wouldn't really be hard to implement him into the game either. So he's like high up on the list. Like, if I had to choose between him and Elizabeth, I feel like he would make it in over Elizabeth. But you never know how things go in terms of like when it comes to cross tab. Like, you would think like the most obvious thing wouldn't really, the most obvious answers aren't really always the most obvious answers, you know. Like, you never know. Like, we got a tank coming into the game, you know what I'm saying? Like, you never know what's going on in Mori's head half the time. Like, if we're going based off of popularity, I feel like Elizabeth might just make it, just because she's a different type of character. You know, she's different in terms of how she plays from the rest of the Persona cast, and like the way she works is different, and her whole aesthetic and everything. And in terms of the Under Night side, again, that's another toss up, because there are two popular characters that I feel like there are two characters that I've heard a lot of people ask for: Wagner and Hilda. A lot of people want Hilda just for like, I feel like Hilda, me personally, I would want Hilda in over Wagner, because I feel like with Hilda is a little bit more important. But like I said, you never know what's going on in Mori's head. You never know what he's thinking. So he could just put Wagner in just because she's the more popular one and she's the one a lot of people play with more. But Hilda, like I said, Hilda's a more, like, she's a very unique character in the way she is and how she plays, and she's a very more, like I said, she's more prevalent in the story. Like, it's more centered around her, sort of. So like it would make more sense to put her into the game. Plus, I don't feel like it would be hard for them to implement, because I feel they've implemented more difficult characters. You know what I'm saying? Like Seth, Yuzu, Nine. A lot of people didn't think Nine was gonna make it because of how she played, and look, now she's in the game. So you never know. Hilda could have a high chance of being in the game. So I feel like Hilda would be the main one to actually come in. And now in terms of the last person, now a lot of people had this theory of the fact that since, you know, a lot of how the DLC logo is set up and how the characters are aligned, you know, like since Yumi's in the middle of the DLC thing, a lot of people are saying that Senran Kagura is most likely not going to get another rep, and how Akatsuki and Blitztank are on opposite of each other. It only makes sense that the rest of the characters kind of follow suit with the parallel thing. So like how Akatsuki and Blitztank are on opposites of each other, it makes sense that since Neo's on top, the bottom character would round off with another Ruby character, and then the 4 squares in the middle, or 4 diamonds in the middle, will just be, you know, filled in with the rest of the characters. So with this theory, which is basically this list is kind of based off of that theory as well. So basically with this theory, I kind of picked the last character as a Ruby character, and that character is Cinder. Now a lot of people would say, why not, you know, why not a person from Team Juniper, or like why not Crow or someone else? The main reason I'm paying Cinder is just because if you look at how Neo is in the game, she has a lot of references to Volume 6. Most of her moves in the game that we've seen so far are from Volume 6. So that kind of leads me to believe that Arc System's kind of looking at things further beyond Volume 3, like they did with the first 4 girls, and they're going beyond that. So it makes sense that Cinder will be the next person, because her and Neo do kind of team up in Volume 6, and during that time period from like Volume 4 onward is a very, like, I'm not gonna say it's Cinder heavy. It's a Cinder heavy plot, but Cinder is a very prevalent character in those next couple of chapters or next couple of volumes. So it makes sense that Cinder will be the one to come in with Neo, other than over like Team Juniper and other people. Now, like I said, it most likely would not be Roman. A lot of people say why not Roman, because him and Neo kind of like are like having that, like, he come in a package. But like I said, if you look at Neo's moveset, in one of her supers, she's wearing Roman's hat. And that's kind of like a callback to the fact that, spoiler alert, but it's a callback to the fact that Roman is dead. So it kind of makes sense why Roman would not be the next Ruby character to follow suit with Neo. So going back over this list, my two picks for Blazblue are Hibiki and Terra Me. Followed underneath them would be Adachi and Hilda. And then under them, to finish off the list, would be Hilda to finish off. Now this next route I'm gonna go over is most likely, it's not like a route based on any like based on a theory or anything, but it's mainly a route based off like what I feel like would be the best move for them to do based on how the game is now and like everything that we've seen in terms of game. Like I feel like this next list I made is kind of basically like a personal list that I feel like will be the smartest decision for them to do in the future of the game. You know what I'm saying? Now, instead in this list, instead of there being 2 Blazblue characters, there's only one, and that one character is Terra Me. Just for the simple fact that, like I said before, Terra Me is a very like prevalent character in the Blazblue series, and he's very like he has a very like distinct aesthetic that we don't have yet, unless you want to count Hazama, which again, like I said, him and Hazama are like 2 completely different people. So it really wouldn't be fair to count Hazama as taking Terra Me's aesthetic. You know, Terra Me's kind of like his own thing, like his own person, his own playstyle, all that. Like I said, he's a very fan favorite character as well as Hibiki, but he's just more prevalent than Hibiki, so it would make sense to put him in over. And I only have it to 1 because I feel like in terms of like the roster, it'd make more sense, because on that side Blazblue would be finishing off with 18 characters instead of 19, which is already a weird number to finish off with the roster if they were to go with the two characters. Now underneath him we have Undernight, and or I guess next to him we have Undernight, and with Undernight obviously I'm picking Hilda. Now the thing with Hilda is, like, same thing I said before, she's a very prevalent character, her playstyle is very unique, and I feel like they'd be able to implement her into Undernight, especially since like I said, they've implemented more difficult characters before, so it wouldn't be hard to put Hilda in. Plus a lot of people have been wanting her since the very first DLC pack was ever announced. Next character I have is Adachi from P4A. Now, like I said, most of the arguments are exactly the same. Adachi is a very fan favorite character that a lot of people have been asking for the longest time, so it makes a lot of sense to just add him in and get it over with. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said again, Elizabeth is a very prevalent character as well. It's very easy to say that she can get in, but on this list I'm going with Adachi just because I feel like it'll be him being a fan favorite character for like a lot of people have been asking for. It'll make the best choice for them to go with. Plus, it will basically be like a whole villain pack, you know, with Terra Me, Hilda, and Adachi pulling up. Like, you're not gonna tell me that wouldn't be a pack that would get people hyped to buy. Like, come on now. Now these next couple are gonna be a little weird, but it's going off the basis that this list doesn't have a Ruby character, for the simple fact that I don't think Ruby is gonna be getting another character, just for the fact that because of how long it took them to show us Neo. I don't think they really will be putting in another Ruby character. I feel like Neo is kind of it for this pack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like she's it. Now, the smart decision would be for them to add another Ruby character, but just based on how long they've taken, like I said, to show us Neo before, and how Ruby's roster has been in the past, with them basically getting shafted from a lot of the DLC packs, I feel like I could see it a lot more. I could see being a lot more prevalent that they wouldn't really get a character in this other than Neo in this pack, unfortunately. I would love to be wrong. I'd love for to be wrong, and the next character they show actually be Cinder or somebody like that, but just seeing how they've done things before, I don't really see it happening. But instead I have a Senran Kagura character actually. Just for the simple fact that this is kind of going based off of the fact that since Akatsuki is coming with him and Blitztank, and I feel like that's kind of like a weird thing to just put him and Blitztank in, and we can basically already assume that their fate is kind of done. Like, they're not getting any more characters. But I just feel like it's weird that they would come in off the bat with 2 characters and then they would just leave Arcana Heart and Senran Kagura with only 1. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. So I feel like we've already got basically leaked at this way back in like the first ever leak for the game. I feel like it would be safe to say Asuka would be coming into this pack as well, just for the fact that, like I said, she's been leaked already with Yumi. Her and Yumi were leaked to join the roster together, so I feel like it would make the most sense if she was the next character to come in the DLC pack along with Yumi, and it'd just be there to round off the Senran Kagura with Asuka and Yumi at 2 characters. And then following suit with the same theory of like the 2, I feel like Arcana Heart would get another character. Now, the thing with the Arcana Heart is this could go one of 2 ways. Now, if you remember way back when Arcana Heart was first announced, and people were saying that way back when Arcana Heart was first announced, there was the whole sub character tab in the store, which basically, if you don't know, the characters that are in that category tab for the icons are basically characters that aren't playable. And if you go down there, you would see Saki and Weiss is in there, which led people to believe that Saki and Weiss weren't going to be in the game. If you're going with that theory, then most likely the last person, which from Arcana Heart for me, since I have a character based for that theory and without that theory. So if we're going with that theory, the character I feel like is going to be the next likely in line would be Charlotte Rope. Now, the reason I say her is because she's one of those characters that, like, she's not, you might not know her name, but you would see her face, like you've seen her somewhere. Like, before I even got into anime fighting games and stuff like that, like, she's a character that I've seen and I just didn't know where she was from, but I just knew her design. Like, I've seen her design before, but I never knew where she was from. And it wasn't until like I started playing anime games that I got into the whole GC side of stuff and I started looking at things more that I found out she was from Arcana Heart. And she's just one of those characters that's like very prevalent, and she has a pretty big fan base as well. Like, I know a lot of people like her. Now, if you don't want to take the sub character tab theory into effect and you think Saki and Weiss are going to be in, then I feel like the next character most likely will be Saki, just because she is Heart's best friend and her and Heart do have a pretty close relationship. Plus, Saki is another character that has a pretty big fan base that I've seen on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, from what I've seen, she has a pretty big fan base as well. So a lot of people know who she is. A lot of people will be hyped to see her in the game. So I feel like it'll make the most sense for her to get in. Now, me personally, I feel like she's most likely not gonna be in, just because like I kind of feel like the sub character category thing is kind of holds weight. So I feel like the most likely character would be Charlotte Road, and that'll kind of be the end of my list. Now, out of the 2 lists, I feel like the second one with the 2 Blazblue characters obviously is the most likely one, just because of the 2 Blazblue characters and the fact that the pins are do basically tell us that there are going to be 2 Blazblue characters in. But like I said, the last list that I made is basically just a list that I feel like it'll make the most sense for them to go with, you know what I'm saying, based off of what they've done in the past and like based off of popularity and stuff like that. Now, going over the last list again, it's finishing off with Terra Me, Hilda, Adachi, Asuka, and depending on which theory you want to go with, Saki or Charlotte Road, not and or. Which again, it'll make more sense because at that point, Arcana Heart will have 2 characters, Senran Kagura have 2 characters, and Akatsuki's Blitzcamp will have 2 characters. You could just leave them by themselves like that. And you know, if there's any other future packs you want to do, you can just add on to the rest of the fates or whatever. But with all that being said, that's basically my thoughts on who I feel like are going to be joining the roster in next DLC pack. If you guys have anything different, if you guys think anybody different would be showing up in the patch, let me know that in the comment section down below. As well as hit the like button for the boy if you did enjoy the video, as it does let me know you enjoyed the content. I try not to make this video long. I feel like it's going to be long anyway. I ramble a lot, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like I said earlier, we are like 4 or 5 subs away from 300, so if you would hit the sub button for the boy and turn on bell notification, be greatly appreciated to help us hit that goal. We still going on this road to 1K. So with all that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's gonna be it for me, and I'm out. So, boy.